Y'all ready for this?
Bravo.
Welcome to Sports Kid Drama Kid. I'm Jim. I'm the Sports Kid.
I'm Andi. I'm the Drama Kid.
Andi, it's football season, so we're going back to football today. Today, we are doing another Who Is episode. You know how we did Who Is Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, I remember.
We're going back to that format for another sort of bio type episode and a primer on a major figure in the football world. One of the big giants of NFL football or American football.
Okay.
And that is John Madden. What do you know about John Madden?
I know that he's dead.
Yeah, that's morbid,
right?
But yes, he just died.
Oh, he is the titular name of the Madden Football video games.
Yes.
I have never played them. I am sure at one point in my life I have watched other people play them because as a young 20-something woman, sometimes your socializing involves watching men play video games.
Especially in college, like walk into a dorm.
Yeah.
And it's just the guys' dorm.
Yeah, you get invited over and you're like, oh, am I just going to watch you play video games until like maybe we hook up? I don't know.
Nope, we got another game to play. But yeah, so John Madden today. And I want to sort of give you the full backstory on John Madden, why he's important as a figure in the NFL. John Madden was born in Minnesota, but moved south of San Francisco to Daly City, California, with his family when he was young. In college, John played with a couple different schools before being injured, and then he ended up joining Cal Poly and playing both offensive and defensive line for them. Back in like the 50s and 60s, I think players played a lot more both ways if they were like a good athlete because there wasn't as much restriction on like injury and stuff like that. They're like, oh, you're just a big guy, you can play both lines. So he played offense and defensive line.
Gotcha. Okay.
He was then drafted to the NFL in the late rounds by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1958.
Go Birds!
However, he suffered an injury to his knee during training camp and he never actually played a regular professional
No
game.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
I know, especially for someone just like so into football and so good.
And he was like
college.
a late draft pick.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, I did it.
I did it.
Oh.
Yeah. But while he was in school, he got a degree in teaching and then a master's degree in teaching and like education stuff. So while he was injured on the Eagles after having not gotten to play at all, which sucked, he did sit in on coaching and strategy and sort of got invited in by the Eagles coaches. And he really loved that element.
I didn't realize that if you were an injured player, you could just do like a little coaching internship.
I don't think you can. I think he showed interest. And at the time they were like, well, we'll let John sit in.
An aside here, we've talked about this before of how like people who grew up in prior decades, whenever they're talking about their careers, they're like, well, I wanted to work in magazines, so I just walked into the building of Time magazine and said, you're looking for someone to hire?
Yes, I'll write a report on anything you need.
Like, it is kind of funny nowadays if like there was an injured player on a team who was just like, I'm kind of interested in coaching. They'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you might get a job on an analyst desk somewhere.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that seems to be easy enough to do.
I don't know what the football world looks like, but I do think it's funny that like back in the day you could like get on a career trajectory just by showing interest.
Yeah, I mean that's what sort of our parents' generation and older always kind of like tells us to do.
Did you print out your resume
like, oh
and walk down the street?
The intentions are good, but it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't.
But it worked like that for John Madden.
Got it.
And he did actually like show some promise at this because like I said, coaching and sort of teaching background melded with coaching. So he blended his formal education background with his love of football and decided to give coaching a shot.
Nice.
So I'm going to go into Madden as a college coach. He started as an assistant with Allen Hancock Community College in Santa Maria, California in 1960. And by 1962, he was promoted to head coach of the community college. This is kind of like showing, at least at the time, like the trajectory of a coach. go to like a community college, head coach there. And then from there, he was hired by San Diego State, which is like a D1 school, as a defensive assistant coach. So he's like not a main guy, but he's on a bigger staff.
He's on one of the, no, not the special teams. He's on the defensive
position group coach.
Got it. Okay.
So he's taking those guys over to like the tackling dummies and yelling at them. So his strong showing at San Diego State then alerted owner of the Oakland Raiders, Al Davis, who is going to get his own episode. He's a total character, and we can't fully go down that road right now. But Al Davis is like very boisterous owner who loved like kind of like stirring up drama. Nice. And getting like players with a bad attitude and being okay with it and sort of cultivating this like bad boy image with the Raiders.
Interesting.
And Davis hired Madden, who's like a jolly nice guy, but a really good football player and coach in 1967 to be that linebackers coach.
Gotcha.
So then Madden's on the professional level as a coach, not that many years after, deciding to be done with football as a player.
Pivoting.
In 1967, Madden helps the Raiders reach Super Bowl II. So we're talking Super Bowl II.
I thought you meant like their second time going to the Super Bowl, but the second ever Super Bowl.
Yes. And in 1969, Madden gets bumped up to head coach of the Raiders. So he's really moving up the ranks, showing how good he is. He's head coach, and he's 32 when he's the head coach. Which is a lot of responsibility.
I've always been this way, but especially now in my 30s, I hate hearing about when people are like, I've reached the pinnacle of my success. Like people who have reached the pinnacle of their success.
That
and
is
they're
the top.
And they're younger than I am.
I know.
I'm like, oh, boy.
I thought the same thing. And some of the like zaddy coaches have gone under that. Like I think Sean McVay and like Zach Taylor for the Bengals, they became coaches at like 30 and 31. So they kind of broke that record. But Madden like held that at 32.
I mean, the thing is, if you know what you want to do from a young age and you pursue it for a decade, it makes sense that you would. We've said this before, like Jim and I are creative types, obviously. And when we go to a wedding that we're invited to by wonderful friends, but who are, as creative types say, normies, meaning anyone with like a normal job.
Yeah.
Which we also have had, but there was one wedding in particular that everyone at our table was like the most successful at the thing that they did that they could be.
Yeah.
And Jim and I left and we're like, I mean, I guess it's been about 10 years since we graduated. So if you wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or something that has like a not easy, but like straightforward, known trajectory. If you've
like
been
you're
doing
there now.
Yeah, if you've been doing it for 10 years, it makes sense that you're there now. But when you're a creative person, if you've been doing it for 10 years, you could still be pretty close to
You did 3 years of mediocre improv in there somewhere, and then you get back to it.
Yeah. And you did a lot of shows that you were like, this is a turning point.
Yeah.
And then you were like,
in the basement of a bar on a Tuesday night. Felt really good on that stage.
Tiniest little storefront theater that was always freezing and smelled like sawdust and definitely had asbestos.
If John Madden did any bad two-prov, we don't know about it. But he was actually an NFL coach at age 32. Not
good for him. I'm really happy, and I don't feel that doesn't make me feel any way about my own life.
So in 1970, the AFL merged with the NFL to create one football league called the NFL.
But there are still two parts to the NFL.
Yeah, there's two divisions of the NFL, but it's all one league.
I gotcha.
Before that, the AFL was like an upstart league that actually gained a following and traction so that it became a competitor to the NFL because the NFL also wasn't like huge at that point. And one of those AFL teams was actually the Raiders. So they started in that sort of rogue league at the beginning.
Oh, interesting.
So Madden was there at the very beginning of like the modern NFL as we know it, which again seems like so long ago, but like not that long ago for like something that's so pivotal to our culture.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, Madden as a coach was awesome. Like his players loved him, and he was very like nice to his players, but supportive of his players, and wanted to know like how they wanted to be coached and all that kind of stuff. but also was like very loud and obnoxious on the sideline toward like refs and the other team. Like he loved to be the guy that was like, I'm going to vocalize my support so that my team knows like how much I'm on their side. One clip I wanted to show you sort of alluding to that, a lineman named Art Shell, who was like an incredible player for Madden, didn't like being yelled at, and Madden realized that, and I just wanted to play a clip because I thought it was fun.
He knew that some guys needed a kick in the butt.
Otto, you dumb quit holding.
Madden learned that a pat on the back worked too.
As a coach, you know, when you yell at me, that doesn't do any good. And he looked at me and said, Art, don't be so sensitive. It's out of nowhere. Don't be so sensitive. But I was a sensitive person. And you know what? Never yelled at me again.
NFL officials, however, were rarely spared.
What the hell are you trying to do? You ever call one on them?
Sometimes as a coach, you just had to yell.
You jerk! You big jerk!
It was easier to yell at officials than it was to players.
You don't call.
So yeah, Madden, as you saw there, was like a Minnesota guy yelling.
Yeah.
You know what I
big
mean?
jerk.
You big jerk. Like he's not dropping any swear words.
You meanie.
Yeah.
I love that. He was able to sort of like adapt his coaching to what individual players needed.
Yeah.
Because I am someone who does not respond well to yelling either.
Oh, same. Hard same.
Yeah.
It just completely shuts me down.
Yes.
Like Art Shell was saying, like I didn't respond well to that.
Right.
And when people continue to do something that pushes your buttons when you've told them this is not how I like to work or learn or whatever.
Even if you haven't told them, you've made it very clear with your behavior in response to it that like, this does not work for me. And then they're like, well, this is what it is. Or like, he could very easily have been like, it's the late 60s and this is football. So like, I'm going to
get away with everything. We could do as many like Northwestern style hazing things as we want and get away with it at this time.
Yeah.
But he chose not to.
I mean, we've talked about this before, like in coaching situations or like in the theater world, there are people who are like, this is the kind of director, producer, coach, whatever I am. And this is my personality. And like, this is how I like break people down and like whatever. And some people are really steadfast about that. And it has resulted in a lot of people then who were coached or directed by them ending up in therapy.
Yeah. Or becoming a person like that.
Right.
Or thinking that is the way to
continuing
pass it down.
the cycle of like aggression. So I really respect that and appreciate that.
So Madden has an incredible career as a coach, but loses in the AFC Championship game 6 times in his career. And
to translate that is the game before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So he almost made it to the Super Bowl.
A bunch of times.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. The most famous of his close call losses in the playoffs came against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1972 divisional round. Do you have any idea what this catastrophic loss for the Raiders was called?
Lost Gate. Raiders Lost Gate.
This is the game that has a play known as the Immaculate Reception.
Oh, I have. Wait a minute. Do they like play this every year on Thanksgiving?
They love to play the Immaculate Reception clip.
Yes. Okay. I feel like I've sat through this during a couple like Thanksgiving situations and been like, I don't fucking care.
Well, I'm going to make you care about the Immaculate Reception. So, a little setup. With the Steelers trailing 7-6 at the end of the game on 4th down with 22 seconds left in the game. So, the Raiders have this locked up to move on. Pittsburgh quarterback Terry Bradshaw.
Oh,
now an old man talking about football.
And an actor.
Yes.
In a rom-com called Failure to Launch, starring Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey, among other films, I am sure, but that's how I know him.
Bradshaw hold his own?
In the film?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very funny. He played opposite Kathy Bates.
Okay.
They were Matthew McConaughey's parents.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he was funny. Okay.
Okay.
It's hard for me to believe that.
You said that with a tone of like you personally know Terry Bradshaw and think he's an asshole, and you're like, so he was funny. Interesting. Okay. It was never funny when I hung out with him.
Yeah, me and Bradshaw, we've never hung out. So Terry, who I know on a first name basis,
my close personal friend,
threw a pass targeting a player on his team, obviously. The ball bounced off the helmet of a Raiders safety named Jack Tatum. And so it's like, oh, this play is dead. Like, the Raiders are going to win. This is the last play of the game, really. It's a 4th down, 22 seconds left. The game's over. But Steelers fullback Franco Harris caught the ball just before it hit the ground and ran it in for a game-winning touchdown. And the play is known as the Immaculate Reception because on the main TV broadcast, which I'll show you in a second, shows the ball like knocking off a helmet and then it goes out of frame. And then Franco Harris just comes with the ball, like darting out of the frame. So like, how did he get it?
Oh, no.
It's immaculate because there weren't as many TV angles at the time. So people actually didn't know if he truly caught it and ran it in, or if like maybe it hit the ground, maybe the play is supposed to be dead. We don't know.
So like people were like, wait a minute, did they just win the game?
And they did win the game, but Franco Harris basically like made water into wine. It was immaculate.
We're like, Franco Jesus.
Yes, Franco Jesus. All right, so now I'm going to play you the play, which you may have seen and maybe not.
Oh, if I've seen it, if it's been on the television while I'm in the room, you can bet I was not paying attention to it.
Okay, so it's the most famous play in football history.
Great.
Last chance for the Steelers.
Come on, Terry.
Trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum.
Oh, my God.
Franco Harris has it. And he's over. What? Franco Harris grabbed the ball on a deflection.
Wow.
5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Let's watch this
1 million
again.
to 1 odds on this one.
Ricochet out there off of Jack Tatum and into the man of the year,
my God.
Franco Harris's hand.
So they did show it from another angle.
Yeah.
So you saw it in all its immaculate nature.
It ricocheted off his helmet in a way that like it feels impossible that somebody would catch that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it took a very fast downward direct dive off the helmet. So the fact that, and the way he caught it, it was like as natural as if he was just like, oh, yes, I needed this from the grocery store. This is what I was looking for, and then just ran.
Yes. So that's the most famous play in football history.
Wow.
It's a little underwhelming now with all the modern production of football broadcasts.
Sure.
But there's something about that main shot and seeing Franco Harris just sort of dart out of the corner of the screen.
It's like, I feel this way when I am actually paying attention and comprehending what's happening in football and someone does something like this. When players are able to execute things that are just like shocking and surprising very quickly, but they do it with this like ease, as if like, yeah, of course that was going to happen. It's always sort of startling to watch because, you know, I always picture myself in a situation like that of like, if the ball just knocked off someone's helmet, I would just be like, where'd it go? Oh no, where'd it go? Where'd the ball go?
Yeah. As you would imagine, John Madden, a very passionate coach, is heartbroken by this. And he actually wouldn't talk to the main NFL Films doc about Madden, about this play.
Really?
So they did pull out some other clips of him talking about it in passing in other interviews, but he basically refused to talk about it after because he was so mad.
So they NFL Films made a documentary about John Madden, and they were like, can we talk about this? And he was like, absolutely not.
He did not want to talk about it anymore.
40 years later, emotions are still raw, especially with John Madden.
That play bothered me then, bothers me today, and will bother me until the day I die.
They didn't call it a touchdown. The officials clocked in the end zone, like right down there, and the referee goes over to the dugout, talks to someone on the phone. 15 minutes later, after the play comes out, and says touchdown.
That's right.
No.
Your man Fred Swearingen.
Madden remains so upset, he refused to be interviewed for this documentary. Like every Raider who experienced the play, he was permanently scarred.
Anytime something would go wrong, of course they're going to think it was a conspiracy.
jerk! You don't call.
You big jerk.
Yeah. So Madden had issue with, the refs and how they called that and stuff.
So he took issue with it, but the call on the field was that it was a legal reception and touchdown.
Yeah.
I understand it being traumatic and him not wanting to talk about it. Like, that's good self-care, John Madden, to be like, I am finished revisiting this.
Yeah, it's kind of what you have to do because in sports you're always going to be on the losing end of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that Madden was on the losing sideline of the most famous play.
I know. So it probably has gotten brought up with him so many times. I mean, we say this watching sports, like whenever they do like an interview with the coach or a player who just lost, and it's like,
yeah,
what do you expect them to say? They want to go back to the locker room and be by themselves. Maybe they want to have a nice little cry, like leave them alone.
Have a steak or something. Yeah, we got to stop bullying those coaches after the game. So Madden won his first and only Super Bowl in 1977 by beating the Minnesota Vikings. There's a famous shot of his team trying to carry him off the field, but he was a bigger guy who played line and maintained that stature. So they struggled a bit. Here is that. And the first guy talking in this clip is his son, Mike Madden.
That was the culmination of everything that he'd ever worked for.
John, how's it feel?
Great. Waited a long time for it.
You know, that was the day. That was the biggest day of all of our lives.
John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
They scooped up Big John.
There was a cameraman on the ground, and he was taking the shot up, and he didn't move. And my guys who were carrying me off didn't see him, and they tripped.
It was like the building that wasn't built correctly. John started moving in one direction, and you ain't stopping 300 and some pounds.
And it was like the London Bridge is falling down.
You don't care. I mean, I don't care if I would have fell on my head. You're so happy that erases anything else. I never thought like, oh man, that's terrible. They carry me off the field, we'll all fall down. Don't even think about it.
He's such a cutie.
So in his career with the Raiders, his record was 103 wins and 32 losses, making him one of the most dominant coaches in all of football history.
Like to this day?
Yeah.
Wow.
He is second only to Guy Chamberlain, who coached in like the very early days of football where guys are like doing those like illegal death formations.
So like it almost doesn't count.
Yeah. When I was looking at it, I was like, I'm sure somebody will be like, Guy Chamberlain was the best ever.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize the name. So like John Madden was after him in terms of
and
wins.
once you take like murder off the table, like I feel like you can't necessarily.
Yeah, if you're playing in those like leather skin caps,
it's really apples to oranges.
it's a different game than what we're doing now. But yeah, he had a better winning percentage, like wins to losses, than Vince Lombardi. Like, so he was literally only second to this Guy Chamberlain
Vince
guy
Lombardi,
who played when there were probably like 3 teams.
Yes.
So he won a lot of games.
And Vince Lombardi was the Packers
early coach that was like, he's regarded as the best coach ever, or one of the best coaches.
Yeah, I'm like vaguely aware of his history, but the main reason I know Vince Lombardi, other than living with you, is there was a period of time back when Facebook was a very popular platform for younger people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
those days.
It really stressed me out to have like a news feed and like see what was going on with everybody, see who was successful before the age of 32.
A problem for us.
And so there was like an extension you could add to your like internet browser where it replaced your news feed with like an inspirational quote. And I kid you not, like every other time I logged into Facebook, it was a Vince Lombardi quote. Like they had not loaded this extension up with a variety of quotes.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
mostly Vince Lombardi.
That's good.
But they were inspirational.
Do you remember one?
Greatness is something you have already. So just access it.
Wow. Vince said that. Very aware for the time. Nice. So I want to take a little detour here to talk about the Raiders fan base. Because they are one of the most interesting fan bases, I think, in the NFL.
Okay.
That has sort of an identity. So they are known for sort of their crazy costumes with like dark evil origins.
Yeah, they're kind of like the goths of football.
I'm pulling this sort of from Wikipedia here. The city of Oakland's working class background and underdog status compared to its neighboring city of San Francisco is cited as the foundation of the Raider Nation and its image. Al Davis would walk around in like leather jackets with like slick back hair and sunglasses. And it just was like, that was kind of the vibe of this. And they also played very aggressively in the 70s and 80s, like before there were strict rules about concussions and stuff. They were just destroying people, and they were known for that, just like you didn't want to play that team because they were going to do things that would push the rules and hurt you.
They played dirty.
Yes. This perception did not change that much when the Raiders moved to Los Angeles. And that moved.
You mean Vegas?
No, they first moved to Los Angeles
Oh,
and
they
then back to Oakland and then now to
Oh.
Vegas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they've been all over the West Coast, and they sort of incorporated hip hop culture into the Raiders culture, and that all became part of like Raiders Nation.
Got it.
Multiple heavy metal bands also got into it because, you know, it looks like heavy metal.
Yeah.
And so like Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, all these bands like the Raiders. As well as NWA and like rap groups.
That's so funny. I love that.
So yeah, this association with all these music acts and the sort of Halloween costumes sort of defined Raider Nation as this gritty, intimidating football.
I never knew that. Like, I know that like, I feel like I'm often turned off by different like sports teams fandoms because they give me the sense of like a bunch of people I went to high school with who would be mean to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the vibe I get from like a sports fandom. But Raiders fans in their like crazy costumes that always sort of have like a dark leaning to them. Like I'm kind of like, you guys are like I don't know, you're the weirdos.
Yeah.
You're more my people. Like you're the outcasts or like the underdogs, even though they weren't actually underdogs because they were clearly good. But like, I don't know, that fandom sort of speaks to me more than other fandoms do.
I can see that. I actually have a clip from a YouTube channel called Localish. It's like an ABC report about the Raiders fans getting ready for games with like their makeup and costumes, and I just want to play that.
The best part of game day is the preparation.
Wow.
A lot of people take vacation. For me, my thing is going to games dressed up.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
The black hole, the Raider Nation.
I feel like I've seen this guy on TV.
Oh yeah, the gorilla.
Together, it's like a family reunion every Sunday.
My name is John Silva. My character name is El Cucuy. The main thing I wanted was to have spikes on my head. Usually got to wake up at like 4 in the morning to get ready.
He's getting air painted.
It takes roughly about 3 hours. My aunt does a really great job, really fine detail.
This is amazing.
Most people love it at Raider games, but sometimes I'll like stop at Starbucks or something on my way to the game and people kind of flip out.
My name is Mark Acasio. I have been Gorilla 24 years. Gorilla is a comical, fun-loving, big, hairy gorilla. It all started back in 1995. I was at a yard sale, and then I seen the head, the feet, and that's when I said, the gorilla. I don't like showing my face because it's not about me. I do it because that's how I reflect my passion.
I find this actually more inviting than intimidating.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like wrestling. Like they each have like characters. I say that as if I know stuff about wrestling. We went to one local wrestling match and it was great. I love that. I love that. And I love that he has this ritual with his aunt who like does 3 hours of makeup. That also relates to the theater world. You got to get the spirit gum and do you know what spirit gum is?
No.
It's like a sticky tack that you use for like putting prosthetics or hair or whatever on.
So back to the Raiders fan base. I mentioned some like famous fans or whatever and bands and stuff. Rapper Ice Cube is one of their best known fans. He was a vocal supporter since the 80s and he's written songs about the team and has appeared in videos promoting the team. They also have a lot of famous notable fans in the more modern era. Being based on the West Coast, there's a lot of like famous people from like Hollywood that have become Raiders fans. I'm going to read a couple off like the notable Raider Nation list, and then I'm going to show you a video of what I think is their most famous fan.
Okay.
50 Cent, Anthony Kiedis, Axl Rose, Billy Joe Armstrong, Carlos Santana, Carson Daly. So they got a lot of fans. Eddie Van Halen, Fred Durst, George Lopez, you know.
This is a real eclectic list.
Guitarist Joe Satriani. We got Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
The MMA fighter. Steve Aoki. Tiger Woods. Tom Hanks.
That is a surprisingly wholesome addition to this list.
What do you think Tom Hanks' Raiders character is like?
I don't know, like a friendly postal worker.
But dead?
But dead.
Does he play a role where he's
a friendly postal worker? No, I think I'm thinking of the what is it? The Polar Express or whatever.
Okay.
I think I just immediately envisioned uncanny Tom Hanks in his little conductor outfit. So that's probably why I said that.
But Nightmare Before Christmas makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I just like Carlos Santana and Carson Daly in the same breath really did something to my brain chemistry.
I was just kind of reading what popped out. Okay. But I'm going to play you who I think is definitely their most famous fan.
Okay.
For sure.
My name's Guy Fieri, and I'm a Raider fan. I could give you a long explanation of why, but I'll break it down to just some simple 2- and 3-word answers. The late, great Kenny Stabler, Coach John Madden. Let's talk about the fans in the black hole. We will talk about the commitment to excellence. That's the Raider Nation. I'm Guy Fieri. I'm a Raider fan.
Managed to get his name in there twice. Fieri.
Guy Fieri. Raider fan.
I have such mixed feelings about Guy Fieri. I don't like him yelling directly at me about football. I prefer him eating a sandwich and being like, that was awesome.
Yeah, we don't need to hear Guy Fieri's takes on football. We want to hear what you eat while you watch football.
No, like that player who didn't like being yelled at by John Madden. I don't like being yelled at by Guy Fieri. I really wonder if he is a nice person in real life or not.
We don't know.
He really, I don't know. He like seems like you want to believe he's a friendly guy in person, but I bet he's not.
Does anyone have stories about meeting
If
Guy?
you know
Let us know
what he's like in real life, please tell. If he has been to your restaurant.
if you've watched a Raiders game with him. That'd probably be pretty fun. Get some Chipotle slathered chicken sandwiches with Fieri and watch a Raiders game.
I wonder if he can actually even cook. Because, like, when have we actually seen him cook?
He can cook.
I'm sure he can cook, but, like, every time I've seen him, he's just watching other people cook. And then, like, they'll do something cool, and he'll be like, oh, you're doing that cool thing.
He's definitely had spin-off shows where he's cooking.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm assuming that he can. I'm just saying.
One really cool thing about the Raiders fan base and just their franchise that I found when researching this that I didn't know was they have a song in the way that a lot of teams have like a song like Go Cubs Go or whatever associated with the team. But that song was developed in 1974, and this is a little different than the traditional like song that they had a band do.
Is it like the age of Aquarius from Hair or something?
No, it's a little more artistic than that. It's called The Autumn Wind, and it's become sort of a fight song for the Raider Nation. And it was developed in 1974 and became their fight song. And what it is like a poem that was adapted from a real poem by Mary Carr, by NFL Films president at the time, Steve Sable, and did like a voiceover of this poem over music by Sam Spence that's like orchestral. And it is actually like beautiful and amazing and really powerful. So I'm going to play that.
I can hear
the
wind.
autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
I am
Gives me goosebumps.
calling it here, Raiders fans, y'all are theater kids. This is so freaking theatrical. It's insane. This reminds me of like high school English class having to read like the Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Do you ever have to read that?
No.
It's this long epic poem, and my English teacher made us like listen to like, I don't know, some old actor like read it, and it was, I shot the albatross. I don't know. It's a lot. I don't understand how you could like do this at a game though. Does everyone recite the poem together?
They just play that exact recording like with the VO.
I gotcha.
And it's like they play you hear the orchestral music come in, and then everyone's like, oh my God. But
it's very stirring.
It's very stirring, and it's not like pump up the jam, pump it up. Like it's like a totally different vibe.
Don't say anything bad about jock jams, because jock jams is awesome.
I'm just saying this is like much more sophisticated.
No, it's very sophisticated.
Sort of telling of like, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a battle cry.
It's very Shakespearean. I love it.
He didn't change that much from the original poem.
No.
Like he adopted things to make it more Raiders. Like I don't have it here, but it's pretty close to what she wrote.
No, I assumed that because it was like the autumn wind is like a pirate, and then like several stanzas later where it was like the autumn wind is like a raider, and I was like, oh,
okay. I see what you did. Yeah.
That's really funny.
It was first used in like a team film around the time, but then like people loved it and they adapted it.
I love that. I love that like somebody involved with football was like, have y'all heard of poetry?
Yeah. And actually Ice Cube has used it in like an intro of song. Like it's had a life after this.
I love that so much. You guys are theater kids, you're indoor kids, you're goth kids, you're like all things that are very close to my heart. I love it.
So Madden retires from coaching after the 1978 season.
Okay.
So he has his career that's like incredible. He was quoted at the time saying, I gave it everything I have, and I just don't have anything left. I'm retiring from football coaching, and I'm never going to coach again in my life. He was just very decisive. I am done.
His career does show a decisiveness. Like he was like, I am injured. I can't play football. I will coach now. I will be the best coach possible. And then when I am done, I am done. And do not talk to me about the Immaculate Reception.
Yes. So
you big jerk.
So Madden leaves football coaching, and immediately he is picked up for football announcing. And he doesn't really have much experience with it, but they know him as a character from all his coach interviews and stuff. And like, we got to get this guy into the broadcast booth.
I never realized how significant the player/coach to commentating pipeline is.
Yeah. So his first broadcasts were with CBS in 1979 on like lower level games. But then in 1981, he was elevated to the main CBS broadcast with Pat Summerall, who would become sort of his co-announcing partner throughout his career.
Okay.
And they kind of had this special relationship of Pat being kind of the main guy calling the action and John chiming in with goofy anecdotes and commentary. And John would become known as the guy who sort of punctuated everything with like boom and whap and bang and onomatopoeia. He would always be like, and he comes through the hole and whap and boom and whap. He also was known for using the early versions of the telestrator, which is that thing that you draw circles and stuff on the screen. Like almost nobody used that before John Madden.
Really?
And he would overuse it and like draw crazy drawings and like things that look like dicks and stuff accidentally. And he was just he would just, the whole screen would be covered in yellow because John was so busy using that
That's
device.
really funny.
Yeah, he just was like this color commentator who had funny things to say and sort of dumb, but like smart in his simplicity.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show you a couple things about that. I'll show you first a telestrator example of him using the thing.
I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Picks up a Seattle first down.
I like Sean Dawkins, the way he's playing. I mean, he's competing today. You're going to see him come up, get inside here, and then hit the slant. Boom, right in there. You see, the first thing you want to do is get in the inside shoulder. And now you just push and just run away from a little, and John Kitney hits him perfectly.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about when I say the little telestrator
It's very
thing.
aggressive drawing.
And then I wanted to show you a couple things of Madden just being goofy on broadcasts.
Okay.
Here, Madden comments on a pigeon on the field.
Bobby Johnson is knocked down at the last second. Somebody threw a shoe. There's a pigeon on the field. How did he get in there?
Well, he wanted to get down there. He couldn't get a seat. He tried to get up above, and there was no place. The only place there was only that he could land is right there.
He was in the middle of the action. I thought the shoe came off.
I'll tell you, there's the throw. Johnson really has him beat. And there's the pigeon was right there where Johnson was running. I think there were two pigeons there. Johnson's trying to run a post pattern, and the pigeon's getting away.
Oh, my God.
That's, the old thing, you can run down to the pigeon and turn left.
Run down to the pigeon and turn left. So Madden, throughout his broadcast career, one thing that he didn't like was flying to games.
He had like a fear of flying?
Yeah, and when you're a broadcaster, you're obviously flying all over the country to different games. So he took a ton of trains to games and would have to plan his schedule around that. And eventually he got a bus called the Madden Cruiser.
Oh my God.
And it was just decked out, and he was able to travel around to everything on highways or on the road.
On basically like a tour bus?
Yeah. And I'm going to show you first a clip from a radio show, Johnny B and Buzz, of John Madden getting called on their like celebrity wake up call, like super early morning, like, hey, we're waking up John Madden, even though he probably knows it's coming. But they call him and he ends up talking about sort of the flying stuff.
Hello. There's over. Hi, we're on a radio in Chicago, and it's celebrity wake up time.
Thank you.
Is it John Madden?
Thank you. Yeah.
John, how you doing?
Good. I'm glad you woke me up.
We do this to all the celebs coming into town. We find out where they are, and of course, they say thank you so much. We just woke up Tony Bennett, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he's staying at the same hotel. I saw Tony Bennett yesterday.
John, don't say the hotel, though. We never do that.
No, I won't do anything like that, but I was in the elevator with him.
With Tony?
Yeah, he was a little nervous, I think.
Did you arm wrestle him?
No. I walked in there, and I think he started to get a little nervous, wonder if the thing would go up. And I got off, and he was relieved. I could tell that sigh,
Yeah? Now, did you go see a show, or what are you doing in town?
No, I'm doing nothing. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the train to take me to Denver.
Now, wait a minute. Is this...
Oh, because he won't fly. Roll me out of here.
The John Madden story, of course, is that you just don't like airplanes, right?
I don't fly, yeah.
Ever?
Ever.
Have you ever flown at any time?
Well, I used to fly, yeah, and then I got this claustrophobia stuff in 1979 and haven't flown since.
It happened right while you were on a plane?
Yeah.
I mean, you just went crazy, or what happened?
Well, I went, I've always been crazy.
I was going to say, did you go crazier?
I just went a little crazy. Yeah, it just, everything starts to enclose into cold sweats and that thing. Yeah, it happened 3 times, and on my 3rd time I quit.
Well, don't they have a cure for that? Isn't there a way you can be hypnotized or something like that?
Yeah, I really had 3 choices. Either not do what I'm doing or get professional help or take another means of transportation. So I tried that first, and I really enjoyed the trains, and I liked it, and I kind of liked that lifestyle, so I never went for help.
Were you still coaching when this malady struck?
No, this malady struck the year after I got out of coaching.
And I like the word malady. It's a good word.
That's the only way I can use those big words.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is not a...
If someone gives it, then you just repeat it.
Yeah, like if Summerall would say malady on the field, you'll say malady.
Well, that was a malady. I'm trying to learn. I just got mayonnaise. When you call wake up, you got to tell a guy what time it is. I have no idea. Was it 6 or
All right, just a
5?
minute. Just a minute. Let me get the wake up ready for you. Mr. Madden, the time at the tone is 8:31. Would you please? Wake up!
Oh.
Did that help you?
Thanks. I love it.
What an interesting era of radio.
Yes.
Wake up! I was going to say, this reminds me of being on the bus to middle school, and we would listen to Q102, Chio in the morning every day on the bus. And honestly, I loved it. Everyone loved it. It was like Chio and his gang of friends, and they were always getting into crazy stuff. One of the main segments they did was called War of the Roses.
What was that?
That was somebody would call in and be like, I think that my significant other is cheating on me. And the way that I would like to find out is I would like you guys, the Chio in the Morning crew, to pretend to be a flower delivery service.
Oh my God.
Call up my significant other and tell them like they won free flowers and ask who they want to send it to. And then the cheating guy would be on the line and they'd be like, you won like free flowers. Like, what's the name of the person you want to send it to? And the guy would be like, oh, great. Awesome. Send it to like this person. And it would not be their significant other. And then like their significant other would be on the phone and be like, you piece of shit.
That's great. And perfect for young kids on the bus.
Perfect for like me at 12 years old on a school bus in the middle by myself, hoping nobody bothers me on a cold day, just listening to War of the Roses. The real nostalgic.
I don't remember specifics, but I do remember that experience.
Yeah. If you are from the Philadelphia area and you remember Chio in the Morning or War of the Roses, please reach out.
I also want to give you a little video tour of the Madden Cruiser, given by John himself.
This is like the living room here. So you got a chair here and a chair here, and then the couch here. So this would be like the living room. Then we got the television up here, so we can watch the tapes. And then this is where we eat, but this also makes into a bed. See this front, by day you live here, and then at night you sleep here. See, so this is kind of like a living room, dining room during the day, and then at night it's like bedroom, you know what I mean? This is a bed, this comes down, boom, that's a bed there. This comes out, boom, that's a bed there. So you got one
He's even
there.
doing the boom.
This comes out, that's a third bed. This comes up, hangs up here, that's a fourth bed.
Oh my
so you
gosh.
go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the way they sleep. My son Joe travels with me. He lives here. He stays here. Mike Frank sleeps here. Bob Stenner, the producer, sleeps here. And Sandy Grossman, the director, if we bring him, he sleeps here. This is the worst place to sleep. So anyways, this is kind of the front. Then in here we got all the controls here for the tapes. You see, we can put the tapes in here of the games.
Oh my god.
Then we watch the games on the television set. We got stereo, hi-fi,
all those VHS
lo-fi,
players.
Antibiotics, probiotics, anything you need. Controls, kitchen. Got the microwave here, blender here, toaster, warmer, oven. Nice oven, can cook a turkey. Thanksgiving. Throw our trash in here. Just throw it in there. Right? Sink. Ice. Need ice. Ice always there. Coffee. Good coffee there. Plates, dishes.
Love
cups,
this tour.
Everything else.
This is so comprehensive.
We come back here. This is the bathroom. Big bathroom. Got a bathroom. Shower, big shower. Got a big shower here. I'm going to show that later. And this is my bedroom here. This is where I sleep. Got a big bed. Then I got the same thing here. I can put the tapes and stuff in here to watch the game. And then I got the television set up there. Telephone, cellular, telephone along with satellite telephone.
I didn't know John Madden was like #van life.
Oh yeah, he's basically van life before van life.
Yeah, he's like like a tiny house van life person before those existed.
So John Madden, one thing I did notice was he had a full-size bathroom in the Cruiser.
Yeah.
We often talk about when we see van life things. You know what I'm going to say? The toilets in the van life vans.
Jim and I have had a lot of conversations about people who choose to live in like modified vans, and like no judgment. Like if that makes you happy and that's what you want to do, like great. I can't get past the bathroom situation. Like I can't do it. I can't do it. I asked Jim because I don't know why I thought you would know, but I was like, I don't understand how people who live in a van full time use the bathroom. I just don't understand it. And Jim was like, well, they have like an emergency toilet.
Yeah, they have a toilet just for emergencies.
And I was like, but what is it? And just
It's like a bucket, and it's for emergencies.
That's okay. What I wanted you to say is like clarify that it's a bucket, but you just kept being like, it's like an emergency toilet that you like pull out and you use it and you like put it back. And I was like, what is this? What is this structure?
So you usually probably try to find a public restroom.
Yes.
But if you are in the middle of the night, it's cold out, it's raining, and you ate some burritos, you now have to get up and pull out the emergency bucket.
Which is, yeah. You just kept saying emergency toilet, and I was just like, it is a bucket, right? Like, I don't understand.
For emergencies. But yes, it's a bucket.
I understand wanting to do that, but the idea that every time I had to go to the bathroom, I either would have to go in a bucket or like hold it and wait until I found somewhere more civilized to go.
I'm out.
Out. It would take away from any, like, you always see people posting pictures of like, look, I'm so peaceful having my coffee, waking up to this view. I'm in the mountains. Like, how could you want to do anything else? And I'm like, and where did you shit today?
I just made a pour over this morning, and I'm watching the sun rise over the ocean.
And in 10 minutes, I am going to have to violently shit into a bucket that I got at a Home Depot. And then I have to like hose it down.
Or the equivalent of a bucket that has a toilet seat on it.
It just sounds awful. It sounds so not, it sounds the opposite of relaxing to me.
Yes. Yeah, we have all sorts of thoughts on that. Okay.
Anyway, John Madden, my reaction to this specifically, he is a really fun guy. He just seems like he's got like fun dad energy.
Yeah.
And I just love that about him. Like, he's like, you want to tour the bus? Great. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes. I'm going to like grab a pile of ice to show you we have ice, throw it in the sink, keep going. Here's this fun hat I got.
Yeah, it's great.
He's just got this like very jolly, fun dad mentality. Now, do I think he probably should have sought some professional help for his panic attacks? Yeah, he could have gone a little more Tony Soprano on that, but what are you going to do?
So John Madden, as an announcer, becomes really popular with Pat Summerall. And one of the big things that he became known for in his broadcasting career was annual Thanksgiving Day football games and announcing that with CBS and then later with Fox. He started to like cook a whole Thanksgiving dinner, usually on the cruiser. And they would like show shots of them prepping the dinner for after the game. And he would talk about, oh my God, look at all that food and it looks so good, and like circle it. And I'll show you some clips in a minute.
In that
here.
tiny little bus kitchen.
And then they would cook it either in the bus kitchen or somewhere else on the premises. And then at the end of the game, instead of an MVP trophy, he would bring a turkey out with a bunch of legs on it. Like, he would add legs to the turkey and give them out to the winning team players.
Oh
like,
my God.
Turkey legs for good performance. And then it evolved and it turned into Madden basically introducing the world to the Turducken, which is a turkey, duck, and chicken all deboned and then Frankensteined it into one.
No, I'm familiar with what it is. He invented that?
He didn't invent it, but he often talked about it, and it was kind of my first introduction to
He put the Turducken on the map.
He really did. And I want to show you just some Thanksgiving stuff. Here is a shot of the Madden cruiser gets cut to, and they're talking about the Thanksgiving meal.
Okay.
Outside the Silver Dome, the cruiser waits.
Yeah, and we got the turkey. You know, we already got the thing cooked. There's Willie Yarborough. He's bringing the last thing. Well, look. We got pies and we got, yams and vegetables, and then we got
turkey.
Look at the size of this turkey. Now
There's no way they
there's
cooked
a
that on
turkey.
that bus.
We got some legs on there. I mean, here's a leg. Then we got 3 here. We got 3 here. So I tell you, that turkey needs that many legs, or they break their legs falling over.
Flag on the play. That turkey's been in the weight room.
I know it. Well, there was a story I read that what happens is sometimes turkeys are getting so big in here so that they have so much in the in that part of the meat that they were breaking their legs, and they only had 4 legs, and the 4 legs couldn't hold them. So any turkey that gets this big needs 8 legs.
Ball start.
Where did you read that story?
5 yards. Repeat first down.
I think it was in USA Today, I think, the other day.
Oh
So
my
John's
God.
just bullshitting
Just
about
making a bunch of bullshit.
turkeys. And that's like the type of stuff that he would do. Just make jokes and really lean into them for a long time. Here's some more Thanksgiving stuff.
Okay, now we have the award, and what we do is every Thanksgiving to the outstanding player, we give the turkey leg award. So, Eric, you get the turkey leg, and Jerry, you get the whole turkey. You get the whole bird.
I knew you would send the whole thing, John. I want to talk to John Madden.
This is Randy Moss.
You got it. Hey, yo, what's up top, fellas?
You're up on top when you make catches like that.
Hey, y'all know I put on a show for y'all two old heads, man.
We have the biggest thing, the tradition of Thanksgiving and football. Some things just go together greatly.
And then lastly, I do want to show you a little Turducken clip.
Okay.
John, for years at CBS and Fox, it became a tradition, the turkey leg and all of that, and you brought to the knowledge of America the turducken. And so our friends at the Four Seasons cooked you a turducken. There it is. I think it's a turducken.
It is a turducken. It's a deboned chicken stuffed in a deboned duck, stuffed in a deboned turkey with dressing between the chicken and the duck and the duck and the turkey. So as you cut down that way, you go turkey, dressing, duck, dressing, chicken.
You know, one of the great things about your coming over here is I'm able to ask you all of these questions, because for a lot of years I thought a turducken was some sort of a foul crossbreed. But it's not.
Well,
it's just three different things.
Yeah. It's really 5 different things. It's a chicken, a duck, a turkey, and 2 kinds of dressing.
And are you going to have one on your Thanksgiving table?
Yeah, I'm going to have one. I have to bring it though, but because it. Oh, here's a picture of one.
Turducken.
Yeah,
picture. That is it.
And you see, you cut it like right down here. See, and then this is
cut it with his hand.
Oh no! What the hell?
See, so you got turkey, and then duck, and then dressing, and then chicken.
Oh.
And then you just.
Oh
have
my
to
God!
do
That looks so disgusting. Why?
You don't want a turducken?
No, I mean I would try one, but like him taking it apart with his hands, like why was
He's
that?
a showman.
I know, but like why was that a thing we needed to see on TV? It's so fun.
So this year at Thanksgiving, you'll have to keep a lookout for them doing some sort of reprise of this, because they always do.
Oh, they do.
Even though he's not there, they'll give out the turkey leg, or I think they actually now incorporated it into a more official thing. So they have like a golden gobbler trophy that they give out for the MVP, and they still show like people prepping meals.
I love Randy Moss being like, I want to talk to them.
Yeah. So yeah, that actually kind of gives you a little insight into like how popular they were.
Yeah.
Like those were the guys at the time.
I understand that. I mean, I knew that there was like a link between Thanksgiving and football, and I have definitely been at Thanksgiving celebrations where there is football on in the background because there's a game on Thanksgiving. But I also never was like, I was always kind of like, why do we have to play that while the day is going on? Because like I didn't care. And I was just like, is it because like there needs to be a focal point for like the men to socialize around?
Yeah, well, it's sort of billed as like, oh, it's America and it's football and it's America's Day, Thanksgiving. But in all honesty, it's so that men and families in general can just look at something and not talk to each other on Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, because if it's like the only time you see certain relatives and like you don't really care about what they're up to and they don't really care about what you're up to, and you're like, let's just watch John Madden stick his hand inside of poultry.
Yeah.
Together.
Yes, we can all relate to John Madden sticking his hand into a turducken.
What a service he provided for.
Yeah. And now we just have boring guys like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck who are not nearly as fun.
I've never seen either of them put their hand in any meat.
So after Madden starts becoming famous for broadcasting and, dissecting turduckens with his right hand on live TV, he also just becomes popular because of that, even more popular than he ever was as a coach or player, and becomes known as a broadcaster. And then a lot of different companies wanted him to be an advertising spokesman. So he had a whole other career as like a super famous advertising.
He's like present day Shaq
guy. Yeah. He's like the Shaq of this time. And I'm just going to play a couple clips.
What
boy, could I go for a nice cold light beer from Miller? So I thought I'd just pop in at my favorite hangout and have one with the guys.
Oh
the whole gang drinks light. Oh, sure, there's a lot of other light beers around, but we all agree that light beer from Miller tastes terrific. And get this, it's less filling.
John, how many times have I told you, use the door, huh?
I forgot, I'm sorry.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Like I was saying, light beer tastes great. And another thing.
He just bursts in like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah. He became famous for like busting through doors and paper.
I have to make a comment about his hairstyle choice because it is so specific. Don't you think? It's like he's rocking like a weird little like Lord Farquaad page boy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a very specific hair choice.
Yeah, I didn't really recognize it.
He's pulling it off though.
Yeah, I think that was in his early years and as a coach a little more. And then he sort of just adapted to like a old guy haircut.
He is sort of like the blueprint for like all boisterous, tall, fun-loving, like Midwest kind of characters,
Yeah.
like Marshall on
How I Met Your Mother?
How I Met Your Mother. Like, I feel like there are shades of John Madden in Marshall.
Oh, for sure. Here's an ad that I remember that Madden did for a long time, and this was for Turducken.
That's not tough enough to stop athlete's foot. Hit that with boom. Tough actin' Turducken. Turducken's the only one proven to prevent athlete's foot. Lamisil can't say that. Get boom. Tough actin' Turducken.
I just always remember that. Boom. Tough actin' Turducken.
He seems like he's having the time of his life acting.
I take the train because it's the best way to enjoy light beer from Miller. Rolling through the Rockies and all across the Midwest, nice, less filling. And it tastes great coast to coast. That's why I take the train, not because I'm scared of anything. Hey, what happened to the
Light
light?
beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
I went... Maybe I am a little afraid of the dark.
They just had so much fun with him.
They did. I can't believe he never did an ad for like Amtrak. Or maybe he did.
He should have. I didn't see it if he
That
did.
seems like a natural.
There's a bunch of other ones, like he did stuff for Ace Hardware and Rent-A-Center. Yeah, Madden becomes really famous. He's in all the ads. He's on all the broadcasts. And in 1984, the founder of Electronic Arts was looking for a face to represent a football video game simulator. And after Joe Montana, the quarterback for the 49ers, was already taken by Atari, he asked John Madden to be the face of this new game. Madden was interested, but he was very involved in the early game, and he had a lot of opinions about the game being as realistic as possible. But we're talking about games being developed for like the Apple II computer, like no processing power, like the processing power of like an early cell phone, like that has no processing power, or like a calculator.
A TI-83.
So he ran into some issues with wanting the game to be like a really accurate football simulation, but they really couldn't do it at the time. So the game started out slowly, but then it became really popular once Sega Genesis came out, and there was a little more power for the system, and it became the biggest football video game ever. And as a person who played a ton of Madden, like it does educate you on a lot of aspects of the game, because you're like calling the plays on offense and defense, seeing how all the routes work, learning all the player names. So I think it's actually like pivotal in a lot of people's football relationships. Like I think I learned a lot about the game from...
Well, you were kind of... How old were you when this came out?
Well, all
or it
the
came
Maddens,
out before you were born?
Yeah, the first one was released in 1988 when I was born.
Yeah.
But I probably didn't pick up a Madden until later, like in
Yeah.
the 10, 12 years, maybe a little earlier.
You really grew up with it.
I really did. Madden now is the face of this football video game franchise, which to this day, it's still Madden Football.
It is.
And there really hasn't been a competitor for a long time.
I just remember hearing Madden and knowing, oh, that's a football game, but like not having any context for why it's called that at all.
Yeah. So yeah, he was the face of that. In 2002, we're just kind of fast forwarding here, getting near the end here. Pat Summerall retired, and I just want to show a little Madden and Summerall Fox sign off, which is very, very cute.
They can take me from here, standing next to you, which is going to happen. But one thing they can't take is my feeling for you, the friendship we developed. We've been a team, and I'm proud of that fact. We've been a winning team.
And the memories of 21 years and 21
great years, and not only, 21 years of games, but 21 years of being together and everything. As you say, those memories will be with us forever, and they can never be taken away. And I have a plaque here. It's from the playing field to the broadcast booth. Fox Sports salutes 50 years of NFL greatness to Pat Summerall. And this is part of the goalpost from Yankee Stadium. New York Giants 13, Cleveland Browns 10. Pat Summerall kicks winning 49-yard field goal.
Well, John, I can't thank you enough. I thought at first that was the bench where I was sitting most of the time.
That's what the old goalposts look like.
Well, I'll cherish that as well. Let's go down to JB.
Let's get out of this before two old white heterosexual men have more emotions. That was cute, though. That was sweet.
Well, John, he wasn't really afraid to show his emotion, which is like one of the things that was actually really cool about him. And another example of that is when he got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I started thinking about this after I got voted into the Hall of Fame. And the more I think about it, the more I think it's true. And now I know it's true and I believe it. Here's the deal. I think over in the Hall of Fame, that during the day, the people go through and they look at everything. And then at night, there's a time when they all leave. And all the fans and all the visitors leave the Hall of Fame. Then there's just the workers. Then the workers start to leave. And then it gets down, there's just one person. And that person turns out the light, locks the door. I believe that the busts talk to each other. And I can't wait for that conversation. I really can't. To Vince LaMarche, to Newt Rockne, to Reggie, to Walter Payton, to the guys that you want to say, to all my players, my ex-players, we'll be there forever and ever and ever talking about whatever. And that's what I believe, and that's what I think is going to happen, and no one's ever going to talk me out of that.
John Madden believes in a Toy Story / Night at the Museum version of the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes, I love that so much.
He's such a sweet, sweet man. And I actually really like the fact that a bunch of people grew up watching him, because I think he's a good example of a guy who can be this important sports figure, but also clearly be a good-hearted, not afraid to show his emotions, goofy guy. And I think that's important.
Sort of ending on a sad note, Madden did die in 2021 at the age of 85. He had a number of health complications throughout his life, but that's when he passed away. So I mentioned earlier the Raiders have a poem called Autumn Wind, and it's the Raiders' battle cry, adapted from that poem by Mary Carr. In honor of John Madden and Thanksgiving football, I rewrote the words once again.
Oh my God.
To that poem, and we'll cue the music under this as I read. John Madden was a Raider, lifted by his team. With a rollicking cackle, they ran and tackled, fulfilling his lifelong dream. His hair turned white and gray. We'd turn to Fox at noon. With a headset wrapped about his head, he'd whack and doink and boom. He laughed as he crossed the country. Not in the air, he begged. And the turkeys quaked and shivered and shaked as he robbed them of their legs. John Madden was a Raider. Through pain and loss and strife, he loved, he cried. He was on our side, and football was his life. And now I'm going to cry thinking about John Madden. So we can probably go out on that.
Look at this sad little guy. Oh. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been enjoying the podcast, please feel free to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. You can also go to our Patreon if you're interested in getting some more episodes from us.
Yeah, over on Patreon, we'll do full episodes like this, and then sometimes other Patreon-specific episodes with different segments. So yeah, check that out if you're looking for more Sports Kid Drama Kid.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Get yourself a turducken, stick your hand in it, watch some football, and...
never fly on a plane.
All right, we'll see you next time.